Good afternoon, everyone. It's April 8th. I'm coming to you live from Iron Fire Workspaces here in Los Angeles. I know it's been a few weeks since my last live stream. I am really excited for today's guest. She is an incredible entrepreneur. We were just talking a little bit backstage about, how passionate she is about new projects. She's always got something new on the horizon. So we're going to talk a little bit about that today. But I have with me today Miss Bosscat, Leslie. Welcome, welcome.
Hi.
So tell me a little bit about how you got the name Miss Bosscat.
So Bosscat was actually a nickname that my business partner, his friends would call me. So he's a really, really tall guy. He's 6'11", gigantic guy. And I had a little sports bar called Daily Dose Sports Lounge. And at the time, he was a regular of mine that became just kind of helping me on the weekends. And his friends would come in and say like, oh, she's the boss, not you. And like kind of just make, how boys like to harass each other and go back and forth. So they started calling me Boss Cat. And then he was messaging me one day. He's like, do you know my friends call you Boss Cat? And I'm like, what's a Boss Cat? What is Boss Cat? And I Googled it and nothing came up. I'm like, and then I had run into them going out one night, and he was an English guy, and he goes, oh, it's Boss Cat. And I'm like, okay, what is a Boss Cat? What is that? I tried looking up, there's nothing. He's like, it's you. You're the Boss Cat. And I'm like, okay. And then they just started all calling me Boss Cat, and it was kind of a nickname that stuck. And then JT hated it because it was kind of more to tease him, saying that I am the boss, not him. So it was kind of a thing, and we always kind of harassed him with. And then when we were coming up with silly names for the bar, at that time I had monikered Boss Cat on anything just to piss him off. Like I put it on our car, I put it on like menu, I put it on anything, and he hated it. And so I was like, oh, we should call it Boss Cat. Libations. And at first I was like, he's gonna say no. But then he's like, it's kind of catchy and there's a story behind that. Let's do that.
So you've got Bosscat, which is one location. Tell me about some of the other venues that you've got.
So we have a location in Newport, in Orange, and Houston, Texas.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then we're moving to Irvine right now. So we're building a new one right now in Irvine. And then we also have, it's called 10 Asian Bistro right now, but we're changing it. We're rebranding and changing to 10 Sushi and Cocktail Bar. And then we're building, that's going to usually be next door to all the Bosscats. So we're growing that right now. We're building it across the street to Bosscat in Houston, and then try to grow it wherever we can.
Awesome. And so on your social media, I see a lot about whiskey and donuts. So why whiskey and donuts?
Those are my two passions: whiskey, donuts, and cigars. Cigars is my other passion. But people always ask me like, oh, what do you do? And I'm like, I don't want to go into a whole dissertation of everything that I do. So I'm like, I'm just the whiskey and donut lady. I sell whiskey and make mini donuts. And a lot of the employees, they call me the donut lady at work because I make as my side business. I started making mini donuts out of the restaurant. So they call me, oh, donut lady. And so, so it was kind of a good, I think, description of who I am, what I am. Like whiskey and donuts is my life. So yeah.
Okay. And so where did the idea for all of your restaurants come from? Or maybe the first one, where did that idea come from?
I guess that also goes with the whiskey and donuts. Those are my passions. And I tend to just do projects that is something that I'm really passionate about at that moment or at that time. When I did the sports bar, I was a bartender and I came from sports bar background. I was working at a sports bar, and that's kind of like all I knew at the time. And I was like really into it, really into sports, knew all the stats, the players, when the games were playing on all the channels. Now I don't know who's playing when. I became obsessed with whiskey probably about, Bosscat's been open 8 years. So about 10 years ago, I started becoming really, I got invited to a whiskey event actually. And it was a bullet event. And at the time I hated whiskey. I'm like, I'm not drinking whiskey. This is disgusting. So I ordered something vodka, and the vendor's like, no, you are at a whiskey event. You need to order my whiskey. I'm like, ugh, fine. So went down the menu, and there's like all these different whiskey drink cocktails, and I started from the top, went all the way to the bottom. At the end, I'm like, I love whiskey. The best.
So, what is
And
your favorite brand of whiskey then?
my favorite is the Colonel E.H. Taylor. Is the small batch. It's made by the Buffalo Trace Distillery. They make Buffalo Trace, Blanton's, all the Pappies, Weller. But the E.H. Taylor I always loved because it was sweet. It had like very toffee butterscotch notes, but then like spicy at the end. So I felt like it kind of represented me, right? I'm like very sweet, innocent, and at the end it's like a little spicy.
I love that. I love that. So you have a lot of projects that you are passionate about. How, or tell me some tips and some things that have really helped you as you are building your empire. And I call it an empire because it's a lot, girl. You got a lot of things. So what are some things that have helped you to build that?
My team, my business partner and my team, I could not do this without them. Having people that can do things better than I can do, it has been everything, right? Because if you can do what I can, if we're all doing the same thing, we're not gonna grow and get anywhere. So um our team is amazing, and we've also created more owners. So part of those people in our team, I love them so much and want to reward them for all the hard work that they've done for us, with us, that I made them an owner of part of the company and part of what we're doing, because I have a bigger, as we grow. I mean, in the beginning, I never thought we'd even have more than one Bosscat. I always thought it was just, I'm going to be a bar owner and this is it, Orange County. And I never thought we'd be in other states. And actually, was eating dinner at 10, and a newer bartender came by, and he's like, hey, can I sit down, eat dinner next to you? I said, yeah, sure, sit down. I'm sorry, my thing's going on. I said, yeah, sit down. And I said, well, how's everything going? And he's like, oh my God, this job's great. I never want to work for anyone else ever again. And I was like, that's a very bold statement. And you're new. That's a very, oh, I love John and you, and I love this company. And I'm like, well, okay, what are your goals here? What are you planning to do? If you're going to work for us forever, what is your goal? And he's like, I want to own a Bosscat one day. And the moment he said that, it clicked to me, and my whole frame of reference changed. Everything I was working for changed, because before it was for the guest. I was doing everything for the guest, want to make guests happy. I wanted to be, that space for them. And the minute that bartender told me that, I was like, oh my God, this is way bigger than me and than us. If that's his goal, I want to help him. And now at that moment became about the employees and what their goals are and what they wanted. And now it's continued to grow with that.
Yeah. So tell me a little bit about some of the struggles that you might have had as a woman in this kind of industry.
Oh, they don't take you seriously. Everyone assumes that I'm the wife of the owner, or it's a family business.
Oh, yeah.
Even recently, there was an article that was written that says, oh, Leslie Nguyen, wife. And I'm like, I'm not the wife of the owner. But, and for a long time, I took it very personal. And then my partner's like, just don't worry what they say. Don't worry what they think. And for so long, I struggled with it. And I think now I've gotten over it. Now I just laugh at it. Now I just tell people I'm the hostess, and then just like, surprise, they find out later.
I like that.
They find out later. That's why I don't like telling people I own the restaurant. I just like to just be low key and it's not, the title doesn't really mean anything to me. But as a woman, yeah, it's people don't take you seriously. And a lot of meetings in the beginning, I don't have meetings anymore, but in the beginning, it was a lot of people like, well, oh, can I meet you for blah, 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 this and that and this and that. And then be like, is he meeting me for work, or is he trying to date me, or
Oh, yuck.
like
Yeah, yeah.
it's always like someone wanting something else after, and I was like, okay, they're not taking me seriously at all.
Yeah.
Um, and I think as a woman, you just kind of have to work a little harder, a little bit more just to earn the respect. Like, even now, I struggle with that. If I want to get something done right away, I go straight to John, my partner, because I feel like they listen to him more. If I
Mhm.
really get upset about something, I'm like, oh, why are people not, filling the water for the ice? And it's
Yeah.
something a little silly like that. But if I really, really get something done, it's like I have to use John as my tool to
Mhm.
be the voice of, like, because if I get angry, then it's like, oh, she's getting
It's
angry.
like that in my house with my kids.
Yeah.
They want to listen to dad before they want to listen to me.
Right.
But what you said about having to work harder because you're a woman totally resonates with me. I think a lot of women feel that way. Like we've got to put in 125% just to feel like we're,
Or even, or being noticed, or
yeah,
get noticed.
yeah, we're being noticed. Exactly, exactly.
Yeah, I have a good
Um,
friend in the corporate world, and she said that. She's like, "I got passed over for a job from people that less experienced than me," and I'm like, "That's horrible. I'm sorry you have to deal with that."
yeah, yeah. Well, so you've also been very open about your struggles with mental health, and I want you to talk to us a little bit about how that became such an important topic for you.
Well, it became an important topic for me because I wanted to commit suicide a few years ago. But I have addiction, depression, and I'm actually May will be 8 years. I'll be 8 years sober. Ironically, for how much I love whiskey, but I have strong willpower, but no self control. And then I didn't realize, after I got sober, I didn't realize until when I got sober then that I had depression. And that
Mhm.
actually took a few years for that to hit, because it was like after you got sober, you're like supposed to feel enlightened and focused and like wonderful, and you're supposed to be clear. And I'm like, no, I just want to crawl in my bed and not leave, and I want to die. Um,
Yeah.
and I had a really tough time. I had a really bad heartbreak that kind of just pushed me over the edge, because I was already going through the depression. And you don't realize
Mhm.
what you're going through because, you know, they, you know, you, I thought I was going to feel better after I got sober, but I got worse and I just got more
Mhm.
depressed. And, but that, I think that I had to learn about my own mental illness when I wanted to kill myself. And that's when I
Mhm.
was like, okay, there's an issue here and I need to learn about it. And that's when I
Mhm.
started researching and reading and watching
Mhm.
videos and learning that this is mental health is a thing and we have to care for it just like
Mhm.
if you had a cold or flu. And there are so many people that are walking around depressed and sad. And it's more than just being sad. It's depression is just like nothing matters.
Yeah.
And I learned that so many people walk around every day with it,
Mhm.
and we're not talking about it, right? So then I started talking about it, and that's when like I had lot of people start talking to me about their mental health, and I was like, oh my
Mhm.
god, this is the thing. This is like an actual thing, and I'm glad now that it's being more spoken to about and more awareness around it, because it's not as
Mhm.
taboo, right? Because you feel ashamed. I did. I felt
Mhm.
ashamed, and
Mhm.
I was like, oh, I didn't know something was wrong with me. I just thought I was, I don't know. I just thought I was just going through having a tough time.
Yeah, yeah. But you're absolutely right. There's a stigma about it and people there's shame attached to it and they don't want to admit that they're feeling those feelings. And so having someone like you who is putting it out there makes them feel comfortable enough to then share their own story. So thank you for talking about that so openly.
Oh, thank you.
Um, because I know that it's not easy, especially if, you know,
Even
if there is that sense of shame.
Yeah, but even alcoholism, like even saying that you're an alcoholic, it's like when I used to tell people at the bar would be like, "Oh, can I buy you a shot?" I'm like, "Oh, I don't drink." "Oh, do you not drink?" Like, I can't drink. I'm an alcoholic, and they'd be like,
Mhm.
and they
Yeah.
look at me differently, and I'm like, "No, I'm okay. I'm fine." Like it's
Yeah. Yeah.
Nothing's gonna happen. We're good.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
people, they get uncomfortable when you say I'm a alcoholic with depression.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. People don't like to talk about subjects that are not comfy, warm, fuzzy topics like that.
Yeah.
So tell me a little bit about who has been a mentor, inspiration for you then, either when it comes to, this sort of self-care or in the business world, who is it that you've really looked up to and leaned on?
My business partner has been the biggest mentor, and he's a mentor for our whole team.
Mhm.
He's 1 year more sober than I am, so he's 9 years sober. Um, and he's always been that rock, that person on our team that just motivates people to just be better humans.
Mhm.
Not that we preach sobriety on anyone. I don't wish it upon anyone. I don't suggest it unless you really need help. But we've had people in our team that needed help. And usually it comes to a point where they're going to lose their wife and their life
Mhm.
and their job. Um,
Mhm.
and I think we've turned around a lot of people's lives, and they've been very grateful. Been like, if it wasn't for you two, I'd probably be dead in a ditch. Um,
Mhm.
and and for me, that was I didn't understood that. I didn't understand that our sobriety was helping other people in their industry, because alcoholism is so rampant in the industry, right? Our industry, the
Mhm.
chefs and bartenders, servers. I mean, that's part of the lifestyle.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, but he's been the one that's been there, because we've been around each other for over 10 years. That's been my rock. He saved my life when I wanted to kill myself, and he's been an inspiration, and gives me hope that there, I see him. If he can do it, I can do it. Because he got sober a year before me, and he was he was more of a nightmare mess than I. And
Mhm.
when he got sober, I used to tell him, I'm like, it's not me, it's you. You're the issue. You're the problem. You're the drunk. You're the crazy
Mhm.
one. But then he got sober, and then I got worse. Actually, I was like, oh wait, it's me too.
Yeah.
And then once I admitted that, then I understood everything. But he's been the one that inspired me to get sober, and
Yeah.
inspires me to be better all the time. He taught me a lot about the business side of the business, because
Mhm.
I came from being a bartender where I didn't know how to do an Excel sheet. I didn't know how to read a P&L. I didn't know what is a P mix. What? I'm
Yeah. Yeah.
gonna make you a cocktail and make you happy. But he's been definitely my number one person to go to for everything, and inspiration for everything.
Awesome. Well, it sounds like you guys have really created a family atmosphere, and that's why you've
Yeah.
been able to have such an impact on the people that work for you. So that's awesome. Is there anything else that you'd like to plug? Our time has flown by. Anything else? Any new announcements or anything like that?
No, we're moving to Irvine, to Lakeshore Towers
Okay.
on Von Carmen and Courts. I don't know if your audience knows Orange County. Um,
Yeah. Yeah.
we're moving there end of May. Bosscat and 10 are moving there, and then there's a possible coffee and donut shop coming next year.
Ooh, very cool.
So
Very
we'll
cool.
see. Yeah, we'll
Okay.
see.
Well,
I'm
we
gonna
had some.
make your kids some donuts too.
Awesome. Well, we had some people join us live, but thank you to everyone who watches the recording as well. You'll be able to go to my link tree and see this in the future on YouTube. But thank you to Leslie for joining today. You
Okay.
can find her on Instagram. Tell everyone your Instagram handle,
Miss Bosscat.
Miss Bosscat.
Miss
And you can
Bosscat.
find me.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
No, I said Miss Bosscat.
Okay, okay. And then you can find me at Jessica K. Martini on Instagram. But thank you to everyone who's watching recording and watching live, and have a great weekend, everyone.
Thank you so much.